They gave me a lot to teach me a lesson. Now they want 80% of the profits I built from it. The same lot they mocked, laughed at, and dumped on me like trash. I turned it into the city's most successful food hub. Now they're demanding a generous deal. They take control, and I get scraps. They thought I'd roll over, but I came swinging. Before we get into it, don't forget to hit subscribe and drop a comment. Whose side are you on? Hi, I'm Logan, 29. Mechanic. Black sheep. Parking lot prince. Depending on who you ask. And last week, my family officially declared war on me. It started with a notification on my phone while I was reviewing inventory in my converted shipping container office. Subject line: Inheritance dispute filed, Reed v. Reed. At first, I thought it had to be a mistake. A scam email, maybe. Then I opened the attachment, and just like that, my jaw hit the desk. My parents and my sister Emily were suing me. For my own property. The parking lot they once laughed at. The one they generously gifted to me because they thought it was worthless. The same cracked slab of concrete I turned into the busiest food truck venue in the city. Now, apparently it was never meant to be a permanent transfer of assets, according to the lawsuit. They were claiming that I, get this, exploited family sentiment during a vulnerable time to seize exclusive control of communal property. Emily's affidavit said I was emotionally manipulative and abused his access to family trust. She even said she was traumatized by how I used her inheritance to make a profit. Traumatized. She lives in a beach house they handed her for free and crashed within 2 years trying to be the next discount Kardashian. Mom's statement was a masterpiece of passive-aggressive martyrdom. We always envisioned Logan building something of his own. We never thought he'd exclude us from something born of family love. As if giving me a chunk of busted asphalt they didn't even want was an act of affection. And Dad? Of course he took the confused old man angle. I wasn't fully aware of the implications of the transfer documents. Really? He laughed in my face when he handed them to me. Said, "Well, at least it's land." I slammed my laptop shut just as my phone rang. It was Mark, my lawyer, my friend, the guy who helped me turn that lot into a business. "Logan," he said, already sounding exhausted, "we've got a mess." "Oh, I know," I replied. "They want my money." "Not just the money," Mark said. "They're arguing that all profits from the property since the day it was signed over to you are retroactively owed to the family estate." I blinked. "That's years of revenue." "Exactly." They laughed when I said I'd do something with it. "Now they want to cut." "They don't want to cut," he said. "They want to gut it." I sat there, heart pounding, rage simmering. This wasn't about fairness. This wasn't about family. It was about control. They couldn't stand that I made something out of what they tossed at me as a joke. But they underestimated me. Again. They thought they handed me garbage. But I turned it into gold. And now they were coming with their hands out, pretending it was theirs all along. Fine, they wanted a war? They just forgot. I don't play fair. I play to win. The first move in this little family war came fast and petty. Emily went live on Instagram the next morning. Full makeup, fake tears, the whole influencer sob story starter pack. "This is really hard for me to talk about," she sniffled to her 180K followers. "My brother Logan. He betrayed us. He took something that was supposed to be part of our family's legacy and turned it into a money machine. And now, he's refusing to help us in our time of need." Cut to the comments. "OMG babe, stay strong." Families are the worst. Men are always like this when they get power. One even said, "He sounds toxic. You should sue." To which Emily replied with a heart emoji and a subtle, "Already in progress." I nearly choked on my coffee. By noon, I had influencers DMing me things like, "I didn't know you were that kind of guy," and customers asking if the food truck lot was still ethically sourced. Ethically sourced. Like I'd ground the burgers from endangered pandas or something. Meanwhile, Mom was on her own PR tour. She hit up her bridge club, her Facebook group. Even called my godmother to let her know how deeply hurt she was. "He's always been difficult," she told one of her friends in a leaked voice memo someone forwarded to me. I just hope this greed doesn't ruin his soul. Greed. From the woman who once told me she regretted not trading me for miles on their timeshare. Then came the letter. Hand-delivered. A formal mediation invitation from their attorney. The offer? I keep 20% of the business, 20% of the company I built from scratch, and the rest would be transferred back to the Reed family estate, with Emily as interim manager. They even had the audacity to say it was generous. I laughed so hard I accidentally knocked over a cup of pens. Mark scanned the paperwork and sighed. They're not playing smart, they're playing emotional. That's dangerous. Yeah, I muttered. It's how they've always operated. Guilt, shame, manipulation. Pick a weapon. He nodded. They're trying to make this public. They want to paint you as selfish. Force your hand. I leaned back in my chair, mind already racing. Okay. If they wanted to play dirty, fine. But I was done playing defense. It was time to show them what happens when the so-called family disgrace stops turning the other cheek and starts swinging back. I hit back the only way I knew how, by going bigger, louder, sharper. If they wanted to drag my name through the mud, I'd build an empire so tall they'd have to look up just to spit on me. Within a week, I rolled out my next move. Lot 2. I'd quietly secured a second property 5 blocks away, another rundown space no one wanted, riddled with potholes and old graffiti, but with one key advantage. It was twice the size of my original lot. And better yet, it backed up to an abandoned warehouse. You see where I'm going with this. I dropped a bomb on social media. Coming soon, Lot 2 Food and Art Park, gourmet trucks, live mural painting, late-night eats, local craft stalls, weekend film nights, and the city's first ever mobile drive-in theater. Same Logan, new lot. It went viral in hours. By the weekend, news crews were setting up interviews. Bloggers called me the cement king of downtown. One podcast even dubbed me the underdog tycoon. And for the cherry on top, I held an exclusive VIP launch event. Food, music, drinks, press, the works. I made damn sure every guest got a goodie bag with a t-shirt that read, "Started from the lot, now we here." You know who didn't get an invite? Emily. Or Mom. Or Dad. Didn't stop them from showing up, though. Midway through the launch, I saw them across the crowd, lurking near the taco truck. Emily in head-to-toe designer. Mom looking like she was trying not to gag at the smell of grilled cheese. Dad just looked tired. They didn't come to eat. They came to crash. Emily shoved her way through the crowd and walked right up to a camera mid-interview. "This is built on stolen property," she shouted, mascara running down her face like she was auditioning for a soap opera. "He's conning all of you. He betrayed our family." The reporter froze. The cameraman didn't stop rolling. I stepped into the frame, calm as ever. "Hi," I said to the camera. "I'm Logan Reed. I was gifted a parking lot after being told it was a joke. I turned it into a dream, and now my family wants to sue me because I made something out of nothing. But if being successful after years of being underestimated is betrayal, then yeah, I guess I'm guilty." The reporter blinked. Well, that's going to make headlines. Emily looked like she was about to explode. "You're stealing from us!" she shrieked. "No!" I said, stepping closer. "You just don't like that I did what none of you thought I could." And right there, in front of 100 people and a rolling camera, Emily slapped me across the face. Dead silence. Everyone saw it. Everyone filmed it. She was escorted out. Again. But this time, she didn't just humiliate herself. She lit the match that would burn whatever sympathy the public had for her to ash. And I just smiled. Because that slap, that was the moment I won. By the time the slap video hit social media, it had 2 million views in under 24 hours. Hashtags like Slapgate, Parking Lot Prince, and Entitled Emily were trending before lunch. People weren't laughing at me anymore. They were laughing at them. And the best part? I didn't have to say a single word. The internet did it for me. Wait, she slapped him because he succeeded? Imagine suing your brother because he made money from something you gave him. Emily, this was ours. Also Emily. Enjoys luxury villa funded by family handouts. Even local news anchors were cracking jokes. One said, "Maybe next time they'll think twice before giving away useless land." Another called me an entrepreneur with grit, heart, and the ultimate revenge arc. I was becoming a symbol for everyone who ever got overlooked, underestimated, or shoved aside by their own blood. Meanwhile, Emily was radioactive. Brands dropped her. Her influencer sponsorships vanished overnight. A wellness tea company issued a statement. "We do not condone violence, verbal or physical, against siblings or otherwise." She posted a Notes app apology 2 days later. It had more typos than remorse, and still, they didn't stop. A week later, I got a cease and desist from their new lawyer demanding I cease operations under the Lot 2 brand because it further exploited family-owned intellectual property. That's when I decided to stop reacting and start burying. I called Mark. "Let's take the gloves off." We filed a countersuit. Defamation, harassment, fraudulent interference with business, every fake review, every baseless city complaint, every public stunt they'd pulled. We documented it all. I even got a few ex-family friends willing to testify under oath about how my parents had bragged about giving Logan trash to humble him. And because I'd kept my paperwork flawless, I had full title and ownership documentation, signed, notarized, witnessed. We were airtight. When the court date was announced, it became the hottest ticket in town. Local papers ran the headline, "Family Feud Goes to Court, from Grease to Gold." The morning of the trial, I walked into that courthouse in a tailored navy suit, clean-shaven, calm, and focused. Emily and my parents, they looked like they hadn't slept in a week. As I sat down at the plaintiff's table, I leaned over to Mark and said, "Let's make sure they finally learn what it feels like to be powerless." Because this wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about justice, with a side of poetic humiliation. The courtroom was colder than I expected. Not just the temperature, but the way everyone looked at each other like a slow-motion knife fight was about to break out. And to be fair, it was. On my right sat Mark, sharp as ever, with a binder thick enough to give someone a concussion. Across from us, my family. Dad in a wrinkled suit, Mom clutching her purse like it was a life raft, and Emily, sunglasses indoors like she thought this was a press conference and not a public reckoning. The judge, a no-nonsense woman named Harlan, flipped through our filings for a full 5 minutes before speaking. "I've read both complaints," she said, dry as desert air. "Let me be clear, this is not a family therapy session. This is a civil court. Crying on the stand won't sway me." "Facts will." Emily blinked. Mom shifted. I smirked. Mark opened. He painted the full picture. How I was handed a neglected plot of concrete, told to make something of it. Laughed at, mocked, ignored. How I poured sweat, hours, and borrowed money into turning it into a booming business. How my family, after publicly humiliating me and trying to sabotage my progress, only came crawling back when the success started making headlines. Then he dropped the receipts. Emails showing Emily mocking the gift. Security footage of her drunken meltdown at the lot. Testimonies from vendors who heard her threaten to ruin me. And best of all, the original signed property transfer document. Ironclad, indisputable. When it was their turn, their lawyer tried everything, claimed it was a conditional gift, said the paperwork had been misunderstood, tried to argue that family intention overrode written contracts, but they weren't ready for the digital footprint. Mark had printed screenshots of Emily's Instagram stories the day she got the beach house. "Daddy gave me a villa, and Logan got pavement, LOL." The courtroom chuckled. Even Judge Harlan cracked a half smile. Then we played the audio clip of Mom saying, "Logan should be grateful we gave him anything. That lot was a dump." She paled. Dad tried to throw himself on the sword, saying he was just trying to be fair. The judge raised an eyebrow. "Fair? You gave one child beachfront property and the other an empty parking lot." Then mocked him for it. The final nail came when Mark asked Emily directly, "Did you or did you not call your brother a mechanic monkey and tell him to stay in his little concrete kingdom during a phone call last year?" Emily stammered, "That's out of context." Mark hit play on the recording. Her voice filled the room, sharp and smug. "He can stay in his little concrete kingdom for all I care. Let him rot there." The silence afterward was delicious. Judge Harlan leaned back, glanced at both sides, and said, "Well, I think I've heard enough." She ruled within the hour. My family's lawsuit, dismissed with prejudice. Our countersuit, approved for trial, which meant the real reckoning was just beginning. They didn't just lose. They opened themselves up to financial damages, court fees, and public embarrassment. As we walked out of the courtroom, a few reporters tried to rush me. "Logan, any comment?" I looked at them, smiled, and simply said, "They tried to bury me, but I was a seed." Emily stormed past, face red, muttering something under her breath. Mom refused to meet my eyes. And Dad? He looked old, like the weight of everything had finally landed on his shoulders all at once. But I didn't feel pity, because what they were feeling now was nothing compared to what I lived through for 20 years. And the fallout wasn't over. The ruling sent shockwaves through town. I wasn't just the guy who turned a concrete joke into a gold mine anymore. I was the guy who took his whole family to court and won. Overnight, everything changed. Vendors at my lot started calling me boss man, with a little extra respect. Regulars brought their friends just to say they'd eaten at the spot that started a civil war. Local media ran headlines like, "Logan Reed, from disowned to dominant. The parking lot king gets the last laugh." And my parents? They were in free fall. The judge's ruling meant two things. One, they owed me money. Court fees, damages, plus public retractions for defamation. Two, I now had full, undisputed rights to all earnings from both Lot 1 and Lot 2, including all current and future developments. In short, they couldn't touch me, legally, financially, or publicly. Emily went silent online. Her Instagram disappeared. Her sponsorships dried up. The beach house? Still bleeding money. And now that she couldn't ride the victim wave anymore, she did what Emily always did when the world stopped clapping. She panicked. She showed up. Again. This time at Lot 2, dressed down in jeans and a hoodie, probably thinking it made her look humble. "Logan," she said quietly, catching me by the coffee truck. I didn't look up from my clipboard. "No drinks for people who sue me." She sighed. "I didn't come for coffee." "Good. You can't afford it." She flinched at that one. "Can we talk?" I raised an eyebrow. "Didn't we already do that, in court, when you tried to strip me of everything?" "I didn't mean for it to go that far," she muttered. "You signed an affidavit saying I manipulated you. You meant it." She bit her lip, looking around at the busy lot, the lines of customers, the stage where a local band was setting up. "I'm losing the house," she said finally. I shrugged. "Sounds familiar. You laughed when I was standing in an empty parking lot. No pity now." "I'm not asking for pity," she said, a little sharper. "I'm asking for help." "Oh," I said, finally setting down my clipboard. "You want help from the grease-stained disappointment?" She didn't answer. She didn't have to. I leaned in just a little. "Tell me, Emily, did you ever once think I deserved any of this? Or did it just piss you off that I made something out of nothing?" Her eyes dropped to the ground. She didn't answer. That told me everything. I stepped back. "Here's the thing. I built this alone. I sacrificed, worked, begged for a chance. You had everything and still blew it. So no, I'm not bailing you out." "But you have the money," she said, eyes flashing. "And I had a family," I shot back, "until they tried to rip me apart because I dared to win." She left without another word, but she wasn't the only one who came crawling. 2 days later, I found Dad sitting at one of the corner picnic tables, looking like someone had dropped him there and forgot to pick him up. He didn't even get up when I approached, just stared at the ground like it held the meaning of life. "Logan," he said quietly, "I was wrong." I waited. Let the silence stretch. I didn't think you'd make anything of it. I really didn't, but you did." "Yep," I said. "And instead of being proud, you came for my throat." He nodded, still not looking at me. "We lost everything. Business is gone. We might lose the house next." I wanted to feel bad. For a second, I almost did. Then I remembered every insult, every time he made me feel like grease under his shoe. You gave me nothing, I said. Now you want something. You see the problem, right? He nodded. I do. I thought you should hear it. From me. That I was wrong. I studied him. You want forgiveness? He looked up. Yeah. Then you're gonna have to do what I did, I said. Earn it. He blinked. How? I tossed him a folded paper. That's a vendor application. You want redemption? Work the taco truck on weekends, minimum wage, clean up after people, no special treatment. His jaw dropped. You can't be serious. I'm dead serious, I said. Let's see how it feels to be the one underestimated. He didn't move for a full minute. Then slowly, painfully, he nodded. And just like that, my father became a part-time taco guy at the food truck lot he once called a cute little hobby. Funny how things come full circle. 3 weeks after the courtroom dust settled, the world had moved on, but my family hadn't. Emily's beach house officially went into foreclosure. She tried to sell it last minute, but the market was brutal, and her influencer income had dried up to nothing. She posted one final video. Just her crying into the camera, saying how betrayal hurts more when it comes from blood. Comments weren't kind this time. People remembered the slap, the lawsuit, the way she mocked me years before I ever touched success. Her crocodile tears didn't land like they used to. Mom, meanwhile, stopped pretending. She didn't call, didn't show up, didn't send an apology, a text, a card. Silence. Which, honestly, was fine. She only ever reached out when she wanted to control something. Without power, she had nothing to say. But Dad? Dad was different. He showed up every weekend, just like I told him, at 7 a.m., sharp, ready to prep the taco truck. Hairnet, apron, grease stains on his slacks. No pride, no lectures, just quiet, consistent work. The first time a drunk college kid called him Grill Dad, I thought he might walk out. But he stayed. Didn't complain, didn't ask for favors. A month in, he was hauling trash bags and scrubbing tables without a word. And you know what? Over time, vendors started nodding to him. Regulars smiled. One kid even gave him a fist bump. Not because they knew who he was, but because, for once, he was just a guy showing up and doing the work. One Saturday night, I brought him a water and leaned against the truck beside him. He didn't look at me when he said, "You were right." "I usually am," I said, sipping my drink. He chuckled, actually chuckled, and shook his head. I used to think success meant power. Controlling things, owning everything. And now I think it's about building something that outlasts you, something that feeds people, something real. I looked around the lot, the lights, the laughter, the music, and for the first time, I didn't feel angry, or bitter, or even smug. I just felt done, in the best way. I reached into my back pocket and pulled out a folded envelope. Dad took it, frowning. "What's this?" "Your last paycheck," I said. "And a bonus." He blinked. "You're firing me?" "No, I'm releasing you." He opened it. Inside was a note that said, "You did the work. You earned the grace. We're even now." He didn't say anything at first. Just folded the paper carefully and tucked it into his pocket like it was something sacred. Then he stood up, looked me in the eye, and said something I never thought I'd hear. "I'm proud of you." And for the first time in my entire life, I believed he meant it. So, yeah, they gave me a parking lot and laughed. Thought I'd fail, thought I'd always be the disappointment. But I turned it into something that fed a city, built a team, built me. They tried to bury me, but I wasn't a weed, I was a seed. And now, I've got roots, and a whole damn forest growing.